guys, it is this time again. We are back with another list. It took me so long between the last one and the one before. I was ashamed of myself and I thought, Lisa, get your acting gear. What am I trying to say? Get yourself. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I've obviously put two phrases together as one. But right, I can't figure out what I'm trying to say. Apologies. I should cut all that out, but I won't, so you can see my incompetence firsthand. So now my laptop has decided it's taking flight or something. It's exporting something. It's exporting my Letterboxd screen recording. It doesn't quite need to do that quite so noisily. And I've got an email telling me Uber $25 off something or other. Does my computer know I'm going to Florida in about 3 months? So this week's list is list stars you would like to date. We've got a picture of Robert Pattinson or Taylor Lautner. I can't decide. It's certainly not on neither of those are on my list, it has to be said. I'd feel like their grandmother or something. So, list stars you would like to date. I have gone with characters rather than stars because we don't know the actors. We don't know what they're like. We see them in interviews. You don't know what they're like behind closed doors. So let's not go with actors. We shall go with characters. So, number 10 I shall start with is a double whammy. It is two individual characters. I do apologise, but the list could have went on forever. So number 10 is Negan and Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead. I've always had a thing about men with long hair. Negan doesn't fulfill that criteria, so there are certain guys that the long hair is not a necessity. It certainly helps in a lot of cases, but Negan, it's his wit, it's his humour, it's his cheekiness, it's just his entire persona of Negan. Yeah, he's a little bit of a cruel guy to start with, but if we've seen The Walking Dead, we know why that is. So Negan, yes. Rick Grimes just completely looks the part. Later in The Walking Dead, when the hair gets a bit dishevelled and he gets the unshaven, yes, Rick Grimes. Prefer Negan's character, prefer the actual personality of Negan, but we like how Rick Grimes looks. But when I see the clip of Andrew Lincoln, who plays Rick Grimes, in Love Actually, with those, you know, where he lifts these like pages with things written on, it just makes me cringe because he just looks so prissy. By that I mean really clean cut and really young and just no. Number 8 is Christopher Reeve's Superman. I've put this in because as a child it's one of the first crushes I ever remember having as a really young child, age in single digits, and I obsessively watched the Superman movies just over and over and over again. As much as Henry Cavill is a beautiful man and everybody says he is Superman, yeah, he fits the bill amazingly, obviously. Christopher Reeve will always be my Superman because that's what I grew up with. I was obsessed with the character of Superman. I thought he was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. So Christopher Reeve is my number 9. On to number 8. So I can't pronounce this. I had to look it up because I had no idea what the name was. Amith from The Northman. Obviously Alexander Skarsgård's character in The Northman. We remember the distress when he cut his hair. I'm watching this movie, which is obviously a very brutal movie, and I'm really enjoying it. And it's the Vikings are coming into the village, and it's a thing of beauty, it has to be said, even though it's really horrible what they're doing. It's just a load of sweaty, long-haired men with no shirts on, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. And then he cuts his hair off, and I was distressed from that point on. It was ruined for me. From there on, that was it, done. But before we got to that point, Amith from The Northman, Alexander Skarsgård, yes. Tick. Number 7 is another one where we go back to my childhood. This is a movie that I saw when I was getting to the age where, unlike Christopher Reeve, which was just a child crush where you're not really understanding, you just think, oh, he's beautiful and that's it. This was when I was getting to an age where I was starting to fancy boys. So proper crush. It's like, oh, I wish he was my boyfriend, which is exactly what this is. List stars you'd like to date. So it's Marty McFly. When I first saw Back to the Future, I was transfixed with Marty McFly. Thought he was absolutely the bee's knees, the best things that I'd ever seen. Obviously, as when I got older, completely not my type at all. But whatever age I was, when I first saw Back to the Future, Marty McFly was it. He was perfect to me. So he is my number 7. Number 6 is Tony Stark, or Iron Man, if you will. Robert Downey Jr. is a very, very handsome man. There's just something, again, a bit like Negan, there's just something very quick-witted about him. Something, it's an air of confidence without being arrogant. I love intelligent men. Just intelligence is a thing that is just probably one of my things, along with long hair, intelligence, sense of humour, wit, and he fulfills all that criteria. Obviously, he doesn't have the long hair, but he's witty, he's smart, he's funny, he's intelligent. So, Iron Man, Tony Stark. Number 5 has a bit of these as well, is Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds. Again, Ryan Reynolds isn't someone I would look at and go, oh, look at him. But Deadpool as a character is so funny, he's so sarcastic, he's so quick-witted. So yeah, Deadpool is my number 5. Obviously, Ryan Reynolds is very easy on the eye also. I'll tell you someone I haven't put in here, and I have to mention Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd is just, the older he gets, the more attractive he gets. He's kind of like Ryan Reynolds. As they both age, they both get better. They're both really handsome men, and it sickens me because it rarely happens for women. The older we get, it's like, if you're a woman, when you get to a certain age, we'll say maybe 40, you disappear, you're invisible, you're not a young attractive thing anymore in any eyes, I suppose, apart from maybe your husband's, hopefully, fingers crossed. As a woman, it's kind of very much in Hollywood, but even older women watching this, if there's any of you out there, once you hit the big 40, it's almost like you drop off the face of the earth in consideration of being like an attractive female. It's like, no, no one ever looks at a woman over 40 like that, unless they're obviously big Hollywood stars that have fortunes spent on collagen and injections and all these sort of things. But men, as they say, it's like a fine wine, they get better with age. And I'm talking because I'm trying to work out what the hell the next one. Oh right, I've just remembered. Right, I'm sitting thinking, who the hell's Johnny Castle? And it says DD beside it. Who's Johnny Castle? DD. Dirty Dancing, Patrick Swayze, Johnny Castle. It is a bit questionable, the age. When you grow up and you realise what age Baby was meant to be and what age Johnny Castle was meant to be, it's a bit But there's very few women out there that aren't massive fans of Dirty Dancing and that didn't fall in love with Patrick Swayze in the role of Johnny Castle. I know I for sure did, and I watched it many, many times. He's just a beautiful individual. Another thing, I love a man that can dance. Patrick Swayze, I think he was a professional dancer and he had a knee injury, which is why he couldn't continue when he turned to acting. Beautiful man, Johnny Castle. Okay, number 3, and you may think this is an odd one. Please don't. Number 3 is Cyrano, but it has to be Peter Dinklage's Cyrano. Beautiful man. His voice is just... Peter Dinklage has got a voice unlike any other man. It's beautiful. He's very, very intelligent. He's very witty. And in this movie, now I'm not a big romance person, don't get me wrong, but the things he writes, I'm a big fan of a letter, of like a beautifully written letter, and the things he writes about Roxanne and for Roxanne just make you fall in love with him as a character. I've always loved Peter Dinklage since Game of Thrones. I've went back and I've watched like his filmography since discovering him on Game of Thrones, and I just love him. I just love Peter Dinklage, but the role that really made me was Cyrano. Got 2 left, folks, and if you know me well, you'll probably know what both of them are. Number 2 is The Witcher, Geralt of Riviera. It's difficult to talk about this. I can't physically think of one thing to tell you that's aesthetically wrong with that person. Obviously, Henry Cavill is a beautiful man in every sense of the word. He's a nice guy, he's smart, he fixes computers as a hobby, for God's sake, he plays Warcraft, he likes to game, he's a big fat nerd, but stick a wig on him with long hair and it's like, all my dreams have been answered. So, and the new season's coming up soon. What were they thinking when it comes to Superman? It's the stupidest decision I've ever heard, but I have heard that he may be doing something to do with Warcraft, which I'm Warhammer. Is it Warhammer or Warcraft? Can't remember. Whichever one it is, he's doing something to do with that. So hopefully we'll see him in that. Hopefully donning a wig. Who knows? And number 1 is Yanko from Amy Foster, from my favourite romance movie, which I discussed before. He is played by Vincent Perez, who played there was, you know, all the sequels of The Crow, which to be fair, there was no point. The first Crow is the only one you need to see. But Vincent Perez played, it might have been City of Angels, I'm not entirely sure. He played one of the follow-up, Eric Draven's. Is it Eric Draven in the follow-up? Or is it someone else following the same philosophy? I've no idea, because I saw them once, and once was enough, and I've never watched them again, because they just seem so far removed from the original. That's the only one you need to see. So Yanko is the Russian from the movie Amy Foster that gets shipwrecked on an island, gets shipwrecked off the coast of the south of England, and he stumbles ashore to Amy Foster, played by Rachel Weisz, and he is a wild man to everyone. He's dishevelled, he's got long hair, he's wearing pretty much just like rags, he's can't communicate with people, and she is a bit of a weird soul. She's like looks really gothic, and she has a real connection to the sea, and she feels that the sea has brought him to her, and the two started a romance together. His character is everything, just about a man that is polite, he's loving, he's affectionate, he's just such a sweet, gentle, intelligent soul, and he looks like he does, which honestly, I don't know what my husband's doing in the kitchen with it. Maybe he knows I'm talking about crushes and he's trying to make noise over my video. So yes, that's the list, folks. So number 1 is Yanko from Amy Foster. So that is a list of stars that I would, at some time, at any time in my life, would have liked to have dated in another world where I was single, obviously. So there's one for you to try and do if you're brave enough. Thank you so much for watching. As always, guys, I shall try and do these lists for you a little bit more regularly than I have been. I shall try and go and reply to some more YouTube comments now, and I will get that edited as soon as is possible and get it up for you. But thanks so much for watching, guys, and I shall look forward to speaking to you next time. Over and out from Lacey Loves.